Hello there, this is Game King Faz. I am going to be casting a game showing why you should never GG too early in a game. We will get to that later on in this game, as you will see why. I am spawning south side as the blue Terran, my opponent spawning north side as the red Protoss. We both are going to be starting off with pretty standard builds. At least I think this is a standard build for Protoss. I'm not sure. I don't play Protoss too much, but for me, I'm going to be blocking off my ramp with the 2 supply depots and a barracks. My opponent will be putting up a pylon and then begin to warp in. Excuse me, what are they called? Gateways. You can tell how much I do not play Protoss. Anyways, I begin with my supply depot at 10, and that is almost done. Then I will continue to build SCVs until I get to the refinery. My opponent warping in his first gateway. I will now start to build my first barracks. There it goes. Continuing to build SCVs, I'm going to do a standard 13 refinery. And one thing I want to know about this map is I do not like this map whatsoever. When I first played this map, it was very confusing. It is a very long distance from my opponent to me, and what makes it worse is you have to go down this ramp. For me, for my side, I have to go down this ramp and then go on the left side all the way to his base, up his ramp, and then into his base. And then vice versa for him. He has to go down his ramp, go down the right side, and then go all the way up into my base. What makes this annoying is, one, okay, obviously how long it is of a trek for ground units to make it from one base to another. And also, those ground units will never meet in between each other's bases, which could potentially note off to each opponent that an incoming attack is coming, which will kinda hinder both of us, as you'll see later in this game when we make our push. So my first barracks is done. Upgraded my command center into an orbital command, building that second barracks now. My opponent is still on one gateway, has warped in 2 zealots now, making that cybernetics core. Still pumping in those probes like any good Starcraft player would be doing. I go for my factory, going for the barracks factory starport, also known as the 111 build. Even though there's 2 barracks, maybe it should be called the 211. Anyways, I send in my SV to try and go scout him, but these 3 zealots right here will aggressively deny that scout. Continue, I build my second refinery now, trying to get more gas so I can try to build my starport soon, get the medevac, and I was planning to go on to siege tanks or something of that nature. That does not happen, as you guys will see. So yeah, my scout was denied. My opponent now getting up the second gateway, also a third gateway actually, excuse me, wow, yeah, okay. Meanwhile, I'm putting on the tech lab and reactor onto my barracks. My factory is done, and then once I have 100 gas now, this SCV will go and make the starport. Meanwhile, more SCVs coming out, using the mules as well. The mules are great to use when you have an orbital command, especially when you are low on units. The barracks pumping out marauders, researching the concussive shells. Once this reactor is done, I will be pumping out marines from this barracks. As soon as the starport is done, I will be pumping out the medevac. My opponent now going into stalkers, chrono boosting stalkers out. This gateway almost done. He is going to mass stalkers. My opponent's still on one assimilator, and one thing I found curious was he has 4 probes going into this one assimilator. I usually only put 3, which I find to be the ideal amount of peons going into gas, anything gas. So anyways, I have my starport done, just waiting for that medevac to come out. Meanwhile, pumping out marauders and marines. Opponent still pumping out those stalkers one by one, massing up his army right there at his gate. As soon as the medevac is out, I will make my push into his base. This supply depot I lower to let my marines out, which will, as I will show you later on in the game, kinda hinder my performance. Medevac is now out. I order my marines to load up, as well as one marauder. That is in. My opponent also is starting to make his push, and as I said, he will be pushing from the right side going all the way to my base, and I will be pushing from the left side. Medevac is gonna move a little bit faster, so even though I got the move out a little bit later, I will be reaching his base first. And my opponent actually looks like he's just going to be collecting his units outside of my base right there, sending even more. 2 more stalkers, another stalker. And then one thing I believe hindered my path was these marines, which were originally right here. I should have left them right here to deal with the push, but like I said, I did not know. I thought he was still building up his army in his base. Did not realize my mistake of not scanning and seeing what was going on. I guess you could call that a Silver League mistake, and yes, this is being played against the Silver League. I'll show you the APM. We were both averaging 19 at the moment. My SV currently is around 60 because I'm trying to deal with all these marines going into his base, and then I also see him pushing into my base. These 2 marines and a marauder try to push it off, but obviously these massive stalkers and zealots will run right through. And like I said, this supply depot, although it was supposed to be blocking, it was lowered. My mistake on putting it back up. They run right through my base. These few units just standing idle. Mistakes on both of our parts, I would say, in this match. But either way, I'm ruining his economy. He is at 500 minerals. I am at 400. He's now moving into my economy. He will destroy my command center. I'm now working on his nexus. Meanwhile, he is pushing out more zealots. I am pushing out my first siege tank, which will not have much use as it will come out and it tries to push off what he's pushing in with, but it's one siege tank versus his massive army. I'm now working on his nexus even more. He has taken down my orbital command. Now working on the rest of my buildings. His nexus is going down, my marines going in, destroying the rest of his buildings. Right now it's basically just a race to see who can get each opponent's buildings down to win the game. I start lifting off my buildings in a last-ditch effort, which actually I do believe will save me the game. This one lone barracks, I will be moving it all the way across to this island right here. This island, which his stalkers and zealots cannot reach, will eventually just almost basically save me the game. Another thing that will basically save me the game is these few units right here that I totally forgot about in my frenzy to just try and destroy his base as fast as I could. Meanwhile, he goes on, continues to destroy my base, and then eventually he will realize that, oh no, I should probably pull back these units. No, he's gonna keep on. Oh no, yeah, there he goes. He pulls back his units to go bring back to his base, to protect his base, because he does realize he is in a heap of trouble. And like I said, my marine's trying to attack him. He goes straight for his base, doesn't even pay attention to these marines. But again, like I said, he has to make that long trek all the way back from the left side, all the way back to his base. Very, very inconvenient in this map. My units, on the other hand, continuing to ravage his base. He's down to 3 gateways and a few pylons. That is all he has left in this game, including his units that are already on the field. He is making 2 stalkers, which will come out right now. Zealot in his base already, but those will be futile as my just impact marines and 1 marauder with the medevac helping them out stand no chance. His stalkers go down. I continue to pummel on his bases. Excuse me, his buildings. My 1 barrack right here, basically saving me the game. Still have all these units. Still have these marines, marauders. I take my CVs right here. Cannot rebuild. I only have 200. He is also down to 5 minerals. We are both in no way, shape, or form you're going to be able to rebuild. Takes down my units with his units that he has pulled back. Very good of him. He is probably thinking right now that he has won the game. He probably thinks I have no units left. He has that one gateway. He can only survive off that one gateway. So he's coming back to bring these buildings of mine down. At this point, I'm thinking, oh man, this is GG. But then I see these units I totally had forgotten about. I take them. My opponent even asks, GG? And I'm like, maybe, most likely. But I didn't say anything. I take these units. I sneakily, like a little sneaky beaver, walk them across the edge of the map all the way into his base. I feared that he was going to be taking his units down the left side too, so I was going to walk across the edge, hopefully not going to be able to intercept. They're going to go into his base and start to attack. So at this point I thought, you know what, I think I got it, unless he has units still at his base, which thankfully he didn't. He thinks he has won the game though on his hand, because he just thinks he has to destroy these last 3 buildings and it'll be GG for him. Even I sent my SCVs out to this lone gateway. My unit's now arriving at the gateway. My opponent now finally realizes, he types in nice, do not have enough time to say GG or well played to him, and he does quit out. There he goes, and I do eventually end up winning that game, even though it looked like, you know, it was a downside for me. So anyways, that is why never to say GG too early. My CV is finally arriving. Anyways, thanks for watching, and remember guys, do not GG too early.